Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will be working on writing. This is chapter 4. As you can see the book, please, uh, if you see the book, give me thumbs up in the chat box. Today we are going to cover writing, and mainly the topic is comparing and grouping information. Okay, I mean, when you are writing something, this is task 1. Okay, what is important to group and compare information? Okay, summarizing charts always involves making comparisons. Some diagrams also require comparisons, particularly if you have to describe stages or have more than one piece of visual material. Part of the task of organizing your answer involves deciding how to categorize or group the information you need to compare. Okay, now we move on. Comparing information. Okay, can someone help me to read this information? I can also, in the meanwhile, answer some of the messages which are coming. Yes.
Should I read or somebody else?
Yeah, please continue. Yes, please.
Okay. Comparing information. You need to know, you need to make sure that you can form comparative and superlative adjectives and use expressions such as more, less, than, the same as the second, third most, twice, 3 times, etc. You may need to use the expressions in some long noun phrase, for example, the most, the second, third most, the least. Then question number 1, fill in the gaps 1 to 9 in the summary of the chart below. On the next page, for some of the gaps, there is word in brackets to help you.
Okay, so this is, wait, Mariam. This is here, in this exercise, we are going to work on here you see world languages with the highest number of first language speakers. Okay, we'll work on this kind of bar graph, okay, which is related to the language learners. Okay, and coming back to this part here, you need to make sure that you can form comparatives. Okay, comparative, you all know what are comparatives and what are superlatives, right? We call in word classes, when we were studying word classes in the vocabulary book, we studied like there are different word classes like Mariam, can you name some word classes? Can you name some word classes like the parts of speech?
Adjectives, nouns, pronouns.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Conjunctions, interjections, like these.
Yes, yes, exactly. So can you also further explain what is adjective, what is comparative, and what is superlative?
Actually, I don't have the clear concept about the comparative and superlative, but yeah, I can tell what are the adjectives.
Okay, what is an adjective?
Yeah, adjective is something which tells us or defines the quality of noun, like
okay.
Tall, short, beautiful, bad, ugly, like these.
Okay. Any other person who can explain what is comparative and what is superlative adjective? Every adjective has like 3 qualities. One is simple adjective. Okay. One is comparative, when you compare using than. Okay, better than, smaller than, taller than, easier than, shorter than, more beautiful than. That is comparative, when you are comparing. Okay, one is the next one is superlative, which is like, for example, I say the best, the most beautiful, the smallest, okay, the tallest, the hardest, okay, the shortest, okay, something like that. These are called comparatives. Okay, so we will be working on using comparisons, because when you are dealing with these kind of figures, like bar chart, line graph, pie chart, or any kind of data, we make comparisons. Okay, let me show you a picture here, which I just saw here. If you look at this one here, um, can you read this one, Mariam, from adjectives, comparatives, superlatives, and examples from the screen? Yep. Are you there?
Sorry,
Oh,
actually, I mute myself when I was speaking. Sorry, sir.
okay. Yeah. Any other person can also read if he or she is interested. Okay. Yes, Mariam. Now I will give you some examples of adjectives. These are like irregular adjectives, mean same like irregular verbs. Irregular adjectives mean the comparative and superlative is not the same. For example, small, we say smaller, the smallest. That is not irregular. That is, you just add er or est. That is regular adjective. But these are like different irregular adjectives. For example, please go ahead.
For example, good, better, the best.
Hmm.
Old, older, the oldest.
Okay.
Far, further, the furthest.
Yes, right.
Bad, worse, worst.
The worst. Okay.
The worst. Well,
Okay.
better, the best.
Okay.
Little, less, least.
Least. Okay.
Many, more, most.
Right. Okay. Now you have an idea what is adjective, what is
Sorry.
comparative, and what is superlative. Right? Okay. So
Yes.
now we go back to the book which we were studying. We'll not go in detail of grammar. So we will having comparisons of adjectives here, and we can use the words like more or less. We can use than, because when you're comparing comparative adjectives, you use than, the same as, or as, the second most, the third most, twice, three times. You may need to use these expressions in some long noun phrases. For example, you can use these: the most, the second, third most, popular tourist destination, or you can use the least. Okay, something like that. Okay, we will try using some in this exercise here, and I want all of you to look at this bar chart, okay, which is something about the language learning in different countries. I want you to look at it for a minute and try to understand and tell me one or two sentences and explaining what is this bar chart about. Okay, what does this bar chart is explaining? Okay, and you also tell me what kind of tense will you use when you are explaining. Will you use simple present or past or future? How are you going to explain? Okay, and mainly tell me what does it say when you look at it, and what kind of information it is going to explain, or this bar chart is trying to illustrate. What is something you see? Just tell me. You can write it down in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and speak. Okay, um, whatever choice you like. Tell me in 2-3 sentences, what is this bar chart about? You have 1 minute time from now. So tell me, what does this chart, what does it explain, or what does it illustrate? What does it explain? What does it say? Yes.
This bar chart basically describes the number of people speak and the languages, basically the languages. So we can say that the bar graph depicts the languages with the highest number of first language speaker speakers and the peoples in millions.
Okay, so the bar chart basically explains, Awais is saying the bar chart shows the different countries, people, language, interest level. Zara says the bar chart is about popularity of certain languages. Or the bar chart explains the world languages with the highest number of first language speakers. I suppose there are like 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 top most worldly used languages are mentioned here, and the number of speakers are mentioned in millions. Okay, so this is like the basic information. What does this bar graph shows? Okay, now can we have one or two sentences about what information is provided in this bar graph, in this chart. The countries are, the languages are Chinese, English, Hindi, Spanish, Russian, Bengali, Arabic, Portuguese, Japanese, French. Chinese is at the top, the French is at the bottom. So now you can, in 2-3 sentences, you can explain what does this bar graph explain further related to the different world famous languages or the highest number of first language speakers. Okay. 1 or 2 sentences you can make about this bar graph, and then we will move on to have some kind of comparisons. Basically today we are going to make some comparisons. So can you just look at the bar graph and make some comparisons? I told you earlier what is comparative, what is superlative. So can you compare the topmost spoken language with the least spoken language, or second most spoken language, third most, fourth, or like the last 2 or 3 least spoken languages of the world? And what is there any similarity, same number of speakers in different languages? So you can make any kind of comparison. Basically you are going to compare different languages here while looking at the chart. So can you come up with 1 or 2 examples? You can say which is the most widely spoken language of the world. Okay, so Mariam says Chinese is the topmost with the highest number of first language speakers. Okay, the highest number of speakers, that is Chinese. We can also say Chinese is widely spoken language of the world with 1,123 million speakers. We can also say that this is more than doubled than English, because English is 470 million. So Chinese is more than doubled number of speakers of the language spoken, and English is the second most language spoken in the world after Chinese, and Hindi is the third. Okay, we can have 1 or 2 more examples, and then we will move on. Okay. Yes, Humaira says among 10 different first languages, the Chinese is considered to be the most speaking language with highest number of speakers as compared to France, where less number of speakers has been observed. That's true. That's true comparison. Okay. Now I want you to, yeah, okay. Mariam says French is the least spoken language in the world with 124 million speakers. That's right. That's very right. Okay, now we move on. I will show you something here and we will make comparisons. The same thing, but here you can see the chart. You can see the bar graph which is given here. Okay. Okay, the bar graph is here, and I want you to look at the bar graph and down look at the look at the fill in the blanks here. According to according to the chart, Chinese is by far the dash widely spoken first language with 1,123 million speakers. This is more than dash the number of speakers for any other language. English has the dash number of speakers with a total of, closely followed by Hindi, which is spoken by the dash number of people. Okay, can you just fill in these gaps with different words which come the words which come to your mind, and it further goes down further down the list. It is interesting that Bengali has number of speakers speakers dash Arabic 235 million. On the top 10 languages in the chart, the dash widely spoken is French with 124 million speakers, which is only slightly dash than Japanese, which has 125 million. Okay, yeah, just I'll give you like 2 or 3 minutes. I want you to work on this and find out from 1 to 9 what can be written in these gaps, and then we can check the answer. So while looking at the first one now, let's answer. According to the chart, Chinese is by far the dash widely spoken first language. Most, yeah, that's right. Most. Okay, here we can say most widely spoken first language with 1,123 million speakers. This is more than, what can we write here? More than all? No, not really all. More than any? Yes. Double makes sense. More than, the best word which we can use, we can say twice. Okay, twice. More than twice the number of speakers of any other language. English has the, English has the, what is English position in these languages? Second highest. Yes, that's right. English has the second highest. We can say second highest. Second highest. Okay. Has the second highest. Okay. Number of speakers with a total of, yes, 470 million. 470 million. Okay. Closely followed by high number of speakers with a total of, closely followed by Hindi, which is spoken by large number of people. What percentage or position is it?
Third largest. We can say.
Yeah, thank you. Third largest. So the answer is third largest. Third largest. Yeah, Zara, that's right. Third largest number of people. Okay. Now we continue further down. Further down, the list is interesting that Bengali has dash number of speakers.
235. 235
But
million.
instead of saying 235, can you use some comparatives? Can you compare Bengali with another language, with Arabic? Yeah, that's true. But can you make some kind of comparison that Bengali has the same number of speakers as Arabic? Thank you, Anis. That's right. Mean the same number of speakers as Arabic. 235 million. Okay, because these are same numbers. So you make comparison using the same as. When you say the same as, it's a kind of comparison. Okay, now we move on. Okay, the next paragraph. On the top 10 languages in the chart, the dash widely spoken is French. So can you say any comparative? Not 10th. Thank you, Zahra. Least widely spoken. Yes, Arif, that's right. Least widely spoken is French, with 124 million speakers, which is only slightly, can you use another comparative here? Slightly less, that's right. Less or lower. Less or you can say lower than. Less than or lower than. Lower than Japanese, which has 125 million. Okay, now this is a kind of example here that when you are given this kind of bar graph, how you can write your answer. Now we have filled in the gaps. Can someone read the whole answer as like 2 paragraphs? Now we have like 2 paragraphs answer with us. Number of words might be less than required because this is just comparatives. It did not give you any introduction. It did not give you any concluding sentences. These are just comparisons. So someone can just read these with the blank. So you will see how you should make comparisons.
Should I read?
Yes, please.
Okay. According to the chart, Chinese is the far most widely spoken first language with 1,123 million speakers. This is more than twice the number of speakers of any other language. English has the second highest number of speakers and the total of 470 million, closely followed by Hindi, which is spoken by the third largest number of people.
Right.
Further down the list, it is interesting that Bengali has the same number of speakers as Arabic, 235 million. Of the top 10 languages in the chart, the least widely spoken is French, with 124 million speakers, which is only slightly less than or lower than Japanese, which has 125 million.
Okay, now the next exercise which we have is also about comparatives. Okay, as you see, this is the same in the book. It says change the noun phrases into comparative phrases as in the example. The first one is given an example. The example says fertility of land areas, mean how much the land is fertile. Okay, fertile mean the land is good enough to produce something. Opposite of barren land, mean the land which is not fertile. Okay, it says fertility of land areas. Now, when you make comparisons with superlative, you say the most fertile area. This is like the most fertile area. Okay, and when you compare, you can say the second most fertile area, or you can say the least fertile area. Okay, now when we make its comparison, what words can we use in number 2 and number 3? Look at the number 1 now, frequency of grammatical errors. So what can we write here? Okay, just take like 2 minutes time and try to look at question 1 to 5 and see what can we write in these empty spaces or these blank spaces. Okay, so now we look at number 1. Number 1 says frequency of grammatical errors. Okay, and we can say the most frequent grammatical errors. The most frequent grammatical errors. Yeah, that's right. And then we can say the second most frequent grammatical errors. The most frequent, the second most frequent, the least frequent. The second most frequent, and the last one is the least frequent grammatical errors. The most frequent, the second most, the least. So this is a kind of comparison about these grammatical errors. Okay, now let's look at the second one, the height of smog levels. Can you just make comparisons with this height of smog levels? The first one will be, sorry?
The most highest smog level?
No, we don't use most with highest. We just say the highest. The highest smog level, the second highest smog level, the lowest smog level, the lowest, the highest, the second highest, and then the lowest. That's right, Anis. Sorry, Arij. The highest, the second highest, the lowest. Okay. Number 3 is density of populated areas. Now, the most dense. Yeah, that's right. The most densely populated. The most densely populated. The most densely populated. And second one, the second most densely populated. And the third one will be the least densely populated. The least densely populated. The least densely populated. Okay. Number 4, the significance of reason for disease. What can we say as superlative reason for significance? Significant is an adjective. High significant? No, we don't say that. Most significant. Thank you, Arij. The most significant. Yes, that's right. And the most significant reason for disease. The most significant reason. The next one is the second most significant. The second most significant and the least significant. The least significant reason. Okay. The number five is length of study periods. Now look at the word is like length. It's like long. Length. Its adjective will be long. So what comparative can we use with long? Can we say more long or longer, longest? What can we say as like superlative? Okay. The longest. Thank you. Thank you, Anis. The longest study period. Yes, the longest. The longest study period. And the second longest. The second longest. And the last one is the shortest study period, because this is the least one. The shortest. The shortest study period. Okay, the shortest study period is the last part. Okay, so the last one was longest study period, the second longest, and the shortest. Okay, this is a kind of comparison. It might be challenging for some of the students, but if you have like, if you continue working and you have some kind of practice, you will find it that you can make good comparisons using comparatives and using superlatives, okay, or using simple adjectives. Okay, so there is another exercise which is the next one about comparatives. We will just work on that as well, so you will have a better picture about comparatives. Okay, when you look at the next exercise, can anyone read this exercise, which is number 3?
So should I?
Yeah, anyone can volunteer and read exercise number 3.
Complete sentences 1 to 6 which are based on the table below by using a comparative or superlative adjective, a comparative expression or a linker in each gap.
Right.
Rome's star rating, distance from city center, value for money.
Okay.
Kendall Hotel 225,
Okay.
rating 2 stars, distance from city center 1 kilometer.
Right.
Value for money 1.
Okay. Second one.
Premida Hotel 225, star rating 4, distance from city center 2 kilometer and value for money 2.
Okay.
God Hotel 150, rooms 156, star rating 5, distance from city center 5 kilometer and value for money 2.
Okay. Can you explain what does it say as a whole? If you look at this like a graph, it's not a graph, it's a kind of a chart. What does it say? What is it about?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Yeah, Anis, yes.
Sir, I think this is the hotel that is far from a city. there is a distance between the hotel and the city that is given, and star rating is also given. The rooms in the hotel are also given, and value for money. Sir, I did not get that. Value for money. Maybe it is cheap. So the Kendall Hotel have 225 rooms at all, and it is near to the city. That is 1 kilometer, and but they have a low star level. They have 2 stars rating.
Okay, right. Okay.
It have a low value money. It have I mean low value money. So the Premida Hotel have 225 rooms, but its star rating is slightly high from the double of the first. And but this is of in the distance it is also double from the Candle Hotel, and it's have also the money is also double, sir, twice of that. So and the third room the third code hotel have less rooms, but they have a high star rating in at all, but the distance from the city is much far, that is 5 kilometers, and the value of money is same as Parameda Hotel.
So if you have the choice to choose, which one would you like to choose and why?
Sir, I will go to the third one, because they have a low money that is equals to Parameda Hotel, but its star level is much high at all. It's maybe it have a high security, and the distance from this is the difference is that distance is much high. That is 5 kilometers.
So you don't bother about another 3 kilometers. It might take 10-15 minutes, but you have like a 5-star hotel with lots of facilities, luxuries, and security standard must be very high, with good quality of food, and might be having swimming pools and